Hello, my name is Ocean, and I am doing the Lesson 11 video prompts, video reflection and analysis. Number 1 says, why do relationship conflicts, as opposed to task or process conflicts, potentially lead to the most dysfunctional and harmful outcomes? Explain your answer. Well, I definitely do agree that relationship conflicts can definitely lead to more harmful outcomes. Obviously because people take things personally when it comes to like being in a relationship, even if it's family relationships, friend relationships. People care a lot about those, so it hurts them whenever people are thinking negatively about them, and they tend to care more. So I definitely agree that relationship conflicts are more dysfunctional. When people are working on things at work, they don't really care as much. They don't take things as personally to heart, so they're not getting their feelings involved as much. So there's not as much of feelings. I feel like when people are moving with their feelings, it's more chaotic, I would say, and more impulsive. And we're not just talking about work and stuff, because work is simple. We got to get it done. We got to do it. But definitely I think relationship conflicts are more harmful than task conflicts. It becomes personal really fast with relationships. Task conflicts is about the work. People can disagree on how to complete something or what should be done first. But, that can actually cause helpful situations because it can lead to better ideas and collaboration. And, I can get your input and you get my input, and we can have a better outcome. We can have new ideas, brainstorming together. But relationship conflicts is about feelings, it's about attitudes, it's about people's perceptions of each other, how we see each other. When people start taking things personally, they stop listening and they just start reacting. And let's say a coworker, two coworkers disagreed on a project. That would be normal. A lot of people disagree on projects. It's just two different opinions. But when somebody starts saying oh, you never help, you never listen, you're always messing up, it's becoming personal now because you're attacking their character and you're saying that they always mess up. Maybe they feel like they try super hard, and by you telling them that they mess up a lot, it's hitting a nerve personally and hurting their feelings, and it's going to trigger some negative emotions. So that's going to cause tension, it's going to break people's trust, and it's going to make it harder for people to want to work together in the future. Once somebody breaks your trust, it's very hard to fix that. And that's, I think, why relationship conflicts can be very damaging, because people's trust is broken, ultimately. So, prompt 2. Of the 5 conflict management strategies, which do you believe are most likely to occur in a conflict between two unequal parties? A manager and employee, a board of directors and a CEO, or a large company and a smaller supplier? Which do you believe are most likely to occur in a conflict between two equal parties? Similarly sized companies, team members, or department heads. Explain your reasoning. I definitely feel like when there is a power difference, like a manager and an employee, I think avoiding and accommodating would definitely happen more. employees might stay quiet or just agree with their manager, even if they don't feel like it's right, because they don't want to risk their job ultimately. They want to stay on their boss's good side so that they can keep their job, and, they don't want to risk not getting a raise in the future because of maybe they rub them the wrong way. You don't want to rub your manager the wrong way, because then they'll maybe never look at you the same and you'll never get a raise, or they might even fire you if they need to be laying people off. You might be the first one to go. But yeah, I definitely think managers might also force a decision because they have more authority and they know that you feel that way, and they use that to their advantage. But between equal parties like coworkers, I definitely think compromising and collaborating will definitely happen more. People feel more comfortable speaking up when they're with their coworkers, so they're more likely to work together and find a middle ground. For example, if there's 2 team members and they're all serving, they're servers, they'll be more likely to split the task and combined ideas instead of one person just giving in and doing whatever the other one says. I think you're definitely more likely to feel more open to give your ideas and collaborate on things when you're with a coworker, because you don't feel like someone else is higher than you, or like you should be learning from them. Because you're both on the same level, you guys don't really need to learn from each other. You guys can learn from each other, but that's what I'm saying. You can both learn from each other, not just one, person learning from the other. That's a different dynamic. So yeah, that's a good way to look at it. So prompt 3. Consider a time that you managed conflict through avoidance. What did you actually avoid by putting off and waiting to deal with the conflict? Did avoidance make the conflict situation better? Why or why not? What type of conflict situations are best addressed through avoidance? Explain your answer. Avoidance is definitely something that you need to watch out for. I do think that you could use it if it's a heated situation and you want to deal with it later, but I don't think you should ever really just avoid something forever. Ultimately, you should deal with all of your issues and problems, because I don't think they're ever really going to go away if you don't deal with it. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this in an assignment already before, but one time at work, I avoided a conflict with a coworker because I just was busy, and I just felt like since she was my coworker, she shouldn't be telling me what to do, and I just didn't even feel like I needed to explain myself. I kind of felt tried, or she was kind of making me feel belittled, like she was higher than me, so I chose to ignore her in that moment, and I never really got back to addressing the issue. I just kind of let it slide. And I do feel like things kind of got more tense, and there was another situation after that made things even more tense. And it just kind of snowballed, if you know what I mean. So maybe if I had dealt with that situation when it happened, instead of avoiding it and putting it off, things wouldn't have gotten worse and snowballed. So I think I definitely learned from that situation. Yes, excuse me, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. But yes, avoiding conflicts I don't think is really the best choice or option. I think that we should definitely deal with problems head on. Unless, like I said, you want to wait for things to calm down and talk about it later, that's fine. If it's a small thing, maybe someone's not helping you, or they, took your table, sure, let it go for now. But at the end of the day, bring it up. Let things off your shoulder, talk about things. You don't want to have a monkey on your back. you don't want to have the elephant in the room. It's awkward. And I just feel like it's important to talk about things. So definitely talk about things. Don't just avoid stuff forever. I don't think that's ever a good choice. We should always address things so we can learn and move on, and everybody can have a good time, and everybody can learn and do better, right? We got to talk about problems to learn from them and do better, or else things will just stay the same and nothing will grow and nothing will get better. So, number 4, discuss the integrative bargaining strategies used in the case negotiation discussed in the previous section. Which of the 4 strategies separate the people from the problem? I'm sorry about the noise. You guys, please. I'm almost done, please. Yes, focus on interests, not positions. Generate a variety of possibilities. Insist on some fair standard. Okay, were used. Okay, it's a little confusing the way it's worded. But yeah, integrative bargaining strategies. In the negotiation example, I think separating people from the problem is really important. You don't want to get them mixed up with your feelings, with how you look at people. You should just look at the problem at hand. That means not making things personal, and focusing on the issue first. Also focusing on interests instead of positions helps, because people might want different things on the surface, but when you get to their goal, like their real goals, and they could be the same or similar, but you don't know that until you get past the surface. Generating different opinions is also helpful because it gives people more choices instead of just arguing over one solution. And insisting on a fair standard keeps things balanced so no one feels taken advantage of. I think using all of these together leads to better outcomes because it helps people communicate clearly, stay respectful, and actually solve the problem instead of just trying to win. Not just getting, when I think about the negotiation example, I believe all 4 integrative bargaining strategies are important, because they help people solve problems in a fair and respectful way instead of just arguing to win. For example, the first one, separating people from the problem is really helpful. And it's really important, and it's a good thing to do because a lot of conflicts become personal. If people feel like isolated or attacked, they might stop listening. So, instead, I would suggest, having both sides, and they should stay calm and focus on the issue, not focus on each other. Let's talk about the actual issue. And the second strategy, focusing on interests instead of positions, means, looking more deeper into what each person actually wants. Like, one person might say they want more money, but the real interest could be feeling valued or secure. When you understand the why behind what someone wants, it makes things easier to, it makes it easier to identify a solution and to work towards, the goal, work towards a goal that works for both sides. And the third strategy is generating a variety of possible solutions. I think it is important to have more choices, not just, two, one. If people only focus on one solution, they might feel stuck or, defensive. But if you come up with multiple ideas, it opens doors and it helps people compromise, helps people feel more creative, and it makes them not feel so stuck, ultimately. Negotiations feel more like a teamwork effort instead of just like a competition. And nobody wants to feel stuck with one idea. We should always have more than one idea and more input. And the last strategy is insisting on a fair standard. This means using facts, rules, policies to make decisions instead of personal opinions. We're going to keep opinions out of this one and use the rules and policies, which I think is good because everybody is not going to argue when it comes to rules and policies. This helps both sides feel like the outcome is fair and not biased. Like there is no favoritism going on. Everybody's going off the rules. So, in conclusion, I think these strategies work best when they are all used together. I think they're all equally important because they help build trust, improve communication, makes a long-term success, helps find solutions. You don't want to just have a short-term fix. You want to have a solution in the long term, in the long run. So, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it.